Alright, good evening, Arkansas. Well, take that back. Good afternoon, Arkansas. This is Assistant Chief Forecaster Cameron back here once again. I'm here to give you guys a video blog going over the potential of seeing severe weather, potentially significant severe weather, as we get towards your Wednesday time frame here, okay? So we've got tonight's threat that we're going to talk to you guys about, and then I'm going to talk to you guys about Wednesday's threat, the first thing that you guys saw on the map here just about 20-25 minutes ago, okay? So if you're just now tuning in, make sure to like, share, comment, really help get this video out, folks. Very, very important information coming your way in this live stream, okay? So, what you're looking at on the screen here, and everybody's kind of tuning in at this is for tonight to first part of your Wednesday morning's risk, okay? This is going to go for far western Arkansas, the slight risk from Rogers to Fayetteville, down towards Fort Smith, just west of Mena at this point, and then you have your margin risk at this area, okay? So, this is for late tonight into the very early morning hours of your Wednesday morning, okay? So, just keep that in mind. Isolated damaging wind threat, isolated tornado threat, isolated hail threat with this. A very, very low and severe threat with this across western Arkansas. If anything happens during the overnight hours, first thing tomorrow morning, we'll be here, okay? But a very, very low end threat for those areas over there in western Arkansas as we get towards tonight into the early part of your Wednesday morning here, okay? Now, let's talk about the behemoth. Let's talk about tomorrow's risk here. As you guys just saw, the moderate risk now includes far eastern Arkansas at this point, okay? So we're now talking Osceola down towards Memphis, West Helena, down into Dumas now, and into Crossett here, okay? So this is the entire moderate risk. By the way, out to our east, the entire state of Mississippi is under the high risk, no, not high risk, moderate risk at this point, okay? So that's the entire moderate risk at this point across far eastern Arkansas. And then we have the enhanced risk. The enhanced risk now goes from northeastern Arkansas to central and down into south central Arkansas at this point, okay? This is a dramatic increase from what we were looking at about 2 days ago, where the enhanced risk was barely in far southeastern Arkansas and the slight risk was for much in the natural state, okay? So just kind of keep that in mind. The biggest threat with this is going to be significant damaging winds, but I am going to talk about that tornado threat as well, okay? And then we have the slight risk from Salem down towards Clarksville, Russellville area, Danville, down towards Nashville, and down towards Texarkana. And then you have the marginal risk, the low-end threat, across western and northwestern Arkansas, just because you guys are going to be dealing with this first thing tomorrow morning, okay? Now, let's talk about the tornado risk, okay? I'm going to get over timing in just a bit. Just be patient with me, folks. I got to get all this information out first, and then I'll answer your questions regarding timing, okay? But let's talk about this first. This is going to be your tornado risk at this point, okay? Very low-end tornado threat across northwestern Arkansas. You guys will see it first thing in the morning over there, okay? If anything happens, 4, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, we'll be here, okay? For any warnings get issued first thing in the morning, we'll be here. But, as you can see, the yellow area, the low risk, alright? Don't let your guard down just because you're not in the orange or in the red area, okay? The yellow risk, the 5% magic is what I like to call it, okay? That area will have to be watched for much of the morning hours into the early part of your Wednesday afternoon here. That goes from Piggott down to the Metro, down into Texarkana at this point, okay? That's the 5% at this time. And then you can see the orange area from Osceola down towards Hazen, towards Camden, and down towards Magnolia. That orange area, that's the medium risk for seeing the potential tornadoes here, okay? And then in far southeastern Arkansas, just east of Crossett, Eudora, Lake Village, Greenville, that is where the high risk is for the potential of seeing tornadoes. That's like 15% down there in far southeastern Arkansas. Could that get expanded? We'll have to wait and see. We'll have to see what timing does tomorrow. That will have the better question on this tornado risk. But as I said before, don't count on just being on the orange risk or in the red risk. Keep in mind that yellow risk has that potential of seeing tornadoes as well. Even the green area over there in western Arkansas, okay? So just keep that in mind for tomorrow. We will be here. We'll have a full studio ready for you guys tomorrow. As you can see at the bottom of the screen here, that's where you have your timing information at this point, okay? So if you need that at this point, take a look at the bottom of the screen. You can see the scrolling text. That's where you have the information at this time here, okay? Now, let's talk about this for just a second here. This is what's called the significant tornado outlook here. Very new product for us here at Arkansas Weather Watchers here. And basically what you see from Osceola to Hazen down to Camden to just east of Magnolia or just west of El Dorado at this point in eastern Columbia County, that area that you see hatched, that is where the potential of seeing significant tornadoes will occur, okay? That's the EF2 plus potential for tornadoes. Okay, that's the strong tornado potential. That goes from eastern Arkansas down into southeastern Arkansas and down into south central Arkansas. Okay, that's the area, that's the corridor that we're going to be looking at tomorrow for that significant tornado potential. Okay, could this get expanded? We'll have to wait and see. Okay, that's a whole timing thing right now. The earlier the timing, the later this risk is going to get. The later the timing is going to get, the bigger severe threat we will have to deal with for tomorrow here. Okay, so that's what we have at this point. I'm going to double check and make sure, because I'm pretty sure my graphics are pretty up to date, but I'm going to double check and make sure that we are good to go on this point here. Okay, so let me see here. Oh yeah, we're good to go. Okay, so right here, that's where that significant tornado risk at this point. Okay, now let's talk about the wind threat. Okay, so not only do we have to deal with the tornado threat and the significant tornado threat, but there's also a damaging wind threat with this as well, and it could potentially be significant damaging winds, especially across eastern Arkansas. Okay, so as you can see, green area across far western Arkansas, northwestern Arkansas, that is where the lower risk is going to be. That's going to be first thing tomorrow morning. Your yellow area, that's going to be mid-morning, early afternoon, and then the red and purple area, that's where that 45% area is for the potential damaging winds over there in far eastern Arkansas. As I said before, not only the tornado threat we're going to have to watch, but the damaging wind threat will be there as well here. Okay, so the high risk for damaging winds goes from Piggott to Pocahontas to Little Rock down towards El Dorado, and then the significant threat for Osceola, Memphis, West Helena, Dumas down towards Crossan at this point here. Okay, and as I said before, that is where that significant damaging wind risk is hatched for the potential of seeing 75 mile per hour winds or greater, hurricane force winds or greater at this point. That goes for eastern Arkansas. As I said before, timing is super crucial for this event. The later we get into this event, the later time frame we get, the better shot we will have for severe weather. Our best case scenario is this line of storms is on the Mississippi River by noon. Okay, if it's on the Mississippi River by noon, the severe threats can be very, very low across the area. If it's still in at least central or west central Arkansas by noon, then you will have a significant severe threat across eastern Arkansas for Wednesday afternoon and Wednesday evening, and there could potentially be a second round, and I'm going to talk to you guys here in just a bit. Okay, so talk about the large hail threat as well. Not much going on with the large hail, kind of a very low threat across the board here. Okay, so now what we're going to do here, and give me 1 second, I'm going to switch this over to our guidance here. Okay, so we're going to take a look at the high-risk NAM, and as soon as I'm done with that, I'm going to jump on questions, and I'm going to try to have a timing map for you guys up here as well here. Okay, so this is late tonight that you guys are seeing here, and I'm going to draw this out so you guys can see what we're looking at. So this is the line of storms that are going to develop from northeast Texas, eastern Oklahoma, and the northwestern Arkansas. Okay, this is going to be the culprit for the severe weather threat for tomorrow. Okay, so just kind of keep that in mind. As I said before, northwestern Arkansas, something happens, we'll be here first thing in the morning. Okay, but right now you guys will have a very low end threat for severe weather, but it will still be there for you guys first thing in the morning. Okay, so this timing that you're looking at is right around 4 o'clock in the morning. Okay, now take a look at the high risk NAM. All right, it's just around 6 a.m. in the morning. That Boeing signature that you're seeing across western and northwestern Arkansas, that is where the damaging wind threat will be there. Okay, that goes for northwestern Arkansas, the same areas I just got to tell you guys about at the beginning of the stream, northwestern and into western Arkansas here. And you can see by the time we get towards lunch, look at the slow progression of this line. This line is not speeding through like the last one did, where it was out of here by lunch, right? This line is very, very slowly crawling its way towards central Arkansas. Okay, so it gets here at noon. Okay, that is favorable for severe weather across eastern Arkansas. That means you're in a warm center for much in the morning and much in the early afternoon hours. And I saw that one comment from Rachel. Could that moderate risk end up expanding further west? Honestly, yes. That potential is there, especially if we see a slowed down timing, because you'll have more chances for instability. You'll have a better shot of getting your environment conducive for severe weather. Okay, so that is a legit possibility. We'll have to watch that over the next 12 to 24 hours across the board here. And as you can see, look at the line. All right, there's a line of storms coming in eastern Arkansas. This is 2 p.m. by the way. Okay, prime time for severe weather across the board. That goes from Jonesboro down to Stuttgart, down towards Crosset at this point. Okay, so this is 2 p.m. at this point, and I'm going to draw something out for you guys, and you guys may be able to notice this. Look at this. This is what I'm talking about the potential of seeing the strong tornado potential. If you see those storms start to get going across the board, that's where you will have that strong tornado potential across the area. That's for eastern, southeastern, and western Mississippi area, okay? These supercells are going to have to be watched. Not only the damaging wind threat, that's along the line, but you're going to have to watch for these little cells that may try to get going ahead of the line. That will pose a tornado threat as we get towards tomorrow here, okay? And then as you can see, by the time we get towards 4 p.m., by the way, 4 p.m., it is just now on the river, all right? So this is going to be a early to mid-afternoon threat for eastern Arkansas, Mississippi, and into western Tennessee at this point. And as I said before, some cells may start getting going ahead of the line. That's where you're going to have to watch and see for that potential. Now, you have one round that you've gotten through. There's a second round of storms that you can see in the back, on the back side of this line, okay? There's a second round of storms that are going to get going as we get towards the afternoon hours. What happens with those storms is still a wait to be seen, okay? And 9 times out of 10, the most case scenario is when a big line comes through, it wipes out your atmosphere, so you don't have to deal with severe weather, okay? The quicker this line comes through will help us out initially, but we will have to wait and see what happens with this cluster of storms, because this is your frontal boundary pushing through. It's the main front pushing through by this point. And you can see, let's take this out a little bit, okay? You can see by the time we get towards that 5, 6, 7 o'clock time frame, it develops more thunderstorms across north central Arkansas and the central Arkansas. I think this will primarily be a hail and wind threat. This should not pose too big of a tornado threat because your environment's going to be pretty wiped out by this point. We will have to wait and see. The earlier this line gets through, you may have another shot for redestabilization, and that's where you could have the potential of seeing additional severe weather as we get towards Wednesday afternoon and Wednesday evening. Something to kind of watch here. So as you can see, a very, very busy Wednesday coming our way as we get towards tomorrow here, okay? So I'm going to go back to our risk here, and now we're at the Q&A session. I've taught you guys head-offs for enough time. I'm going to start answering some questions here. So I'm going to go back here, and we're going to go back to our risk here, okay? So as you can see, moderate risk in eastern Arkansas, enhanced risk northeastern, eastern, and southern Arkansas, slight risk across north central, west central, and down to southwestern Arkansas, and then a very low risk, but still a non-zero risk across northwestern Arkansas, okay? So if y'all have any questions, please let me know. Like I said before, I think I've taught y'all's head-offs enough. I'm going to try to get to some questions here, okay? So just got here. Is this for today or tomorrow? This is going to be for tomorrow. Now, there's going to be a threat late tonight and the early part of your Wednesday morning across northwestern Arkansas. The green area that you see on this map is where that threat's going to be first thing in the morning, okay? And then it's going to start progressing eastward throughout the day tomorrow here, okay? So just kind of keep that in mind here. Eaton, I appreciate you for answering those questions. If y'all have any more questions, please let me know. Let me see here, going over everything. Let me see here, need rain southeast. Yes, I do believe you guys do still need rainfall down there in southern Arkansas. Mark, if you feel better about driving kids to school tomorrow, now at 7-4, this is a pretty significant threat for us here in Arkansas tomorrow. Tomorrow, make that judgment call. A lot of people, are, especially in eastern Arkansas, are going to see this and are wanting to keep the kids at home from school tomorrow. Keep in mind that this is going to be coming in 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. That's when school's going to be letting out. That's where people are going to be getting off of work. Traffic's going to be at its worst. So just kind of keep that in mind if you're in eastern Arkansas and even in some cases down in central and southern Arkansas, okay? If you want to keep them at home, that is at your discretion. I can't tell you what to do with that particular scenario, but if you decide to do that route, that's great. If you don't, then just kind of keep in mind that severe weather will be on the table for those areas here as we get towards tomorrow here. Now, I'm getting a lot of questions about the moderate risk, okay? One thing I want to stress about the moderate risk, could it go more east than where it is right now? That is a legit possibility because of the fact of timing. When timing's much faster, your moderate risk goes east, okay? As I told you guys before, that moderate risk goes for the entire state of Mississippi, okay? It spans all the way into eastern Arkansas, and it goes into western Alabama. The entire state of Mississippi is under that moderate risk. Could there be a high risk for damaging winds? I cannot rule out that possibility. 9 times out of 10, when you get a moderate risk this big, normally there is a small high risk somewhere within that middle of that moderate risk, okay? Keep that in mind. I don't know if it's going to go toward driven. If anything, it will be making a run for the damaging wind versus the tornado potential. That'll be east of us, by the way. Okay, so if that happens, then what will likely happen in that scenario is the moderate risk could be pushed a little bit further to the west at that point. It depends on timing. It depends on storm motion at that point. All right, but do not let your guard down just because you're not in that moderate risk. Okay. That goes for the slight risk. That goes for the enhanced risk. We've been through this before, Arkansas. You guys know how the slight risk and the enhanced risk can do. You don't need to be in a moderate to have severe weather. You can still get severe weather in a slight risk, in a marginal, in an enhanced. Storms do not care about risk areas, okay? So just kind of keep that in mind here. That moderate risk gets bumped a little further west. That's a possibility. Could it get pushed eastward? That's a legit possibility as well, especially if this line speeds up. But the one thing I'm noticing is that the line is slowing down a lot more than it was a couple of days ago. Okay, so what will temperatures be like tomorrow? We're talking 70s across the board, maybe some low 80s down there in southern Arkansas for tomorrow. It just depends on how fast this line gets through. Mark, that is a great question. The derecho potential. Honestly, it is something that I'm going to keep an eye on here. Right now, it just depends on storm mode, okay? If this stays a solid line, it will have that potential, especially across eastern Arkansas. Anybody that's not familiar with a derecho, basically, it is a very strong line of thunderstorms capable of producing more than 75-mile-per-hour wind gusts. Okay, that's just in layman's terms. All right, and it's long-lived. It's not something that's just short. That means it's going from a very, very long span. I've had a lot of people ask me about that over the last 24 hours. That is a legit possibility. There's a reason why. I'm gonna go back and let's talk about damaging wind threat while we're here. Okay, there's a reason why there's a significant threat for damaging winds in that area across eastern Arkansas. So just kind of keep that in mind for tomorrow here. Don't focus on just a tornado threat. There will be a damaging wind threat. We will have to deal with this as well here. All right, but great comment, Mark. I want to send a shout out to you guys. Okay, so what about Warren? Timing, how bad? Timing right now, as you can see at the bottom corner of your screen. Okay, so we went over timing in the models here just a second ago. Let's go back to it. Okay, so we're talking right around 1 to 2 o'clock for that area down there in Warren. Okay, that's 1, 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, 3 to 4 across eastern Arkansas, right around lunch here, and then the morning hours across western Arkansas. Okay, so Nancy, what's the difference between an enhanced risk and a moderate risk? Enhanced risk, scattered severe storms. Moderate risk, more widespread severe storms. Okay, but as I said before, don't focus on just the enhanced or the moderate risk. Don't focus on just those areas. It's a confidence thing. Okay, that means that the greater threat for severe weather is greater in the moderate risk versus the enhanced, but you can still get severe weather in the enhanced risk here. Could it be like Easter Sunday a few years ago? Angela, that's a great comment. Something I'm going to study. The Easter Sunday event, I believe it was 2020, when we had that big line come through Arkansas and had a lot of wind damage. I believe this one is going to be a definite rival with that one. It's a wait and see, because the storm motions, the storm mode could have a big role in this. And the one thing I'm worried about, and Allison, I was just getting to that, will this be a line of storms that's going to come through, or will it be a broken line with supercells along that line that we'll have to watch? That is one of the many reasons why you don't have either a big moderate risk across eastern Arkansas or even a high risk, because the storm mode is in question. Okay, so Allison, you just literally commented right I was in the train of thought with that. So that's something that we're going to watch. But the storm mode, basically what storm mode is it going to be a line of storms that's going to push through, or is it going to be a broken line with supercells pushing through? We'll have to wait and see. Okay, right now guidance is mainly doing with the line of storms itself, but the supercell threat we'll have to watch across eastern Arkansas. JD, not here. It's not going to be, unless timing really slows down tomorrow, you're not going to get a high risk here. Mississippi, debatable. We'll have to wait and see. It's very debatable right now, especially with damaging wind. You could easily go either way. Okay, you can go either way with this. You can keep it a moderate risk and go 45% for damaging wind, or you go 60%, which would be a high risk across Mississippi. It'd be east of us at that point if that happens. I'm not expecting a high risk here, guys, but a moderate is enough. Even a slight enhanced risk is more than enough here. So the people that for the people that doesn't have to shelter to see, can you? Okay, so basically, there's a lot of people that are asking about shelters tomorrow. Okay, so the number one thing, this is going to be coming in during the afternoon. This is Arkansas's one and probably a handful of times we're going to get this during the afternoon. Okay, a lot of people are going to be in school. A lot of people are going to be at work. Most places have a place to go for that tornado threat or whatever. Okay, most places have a place to go if there's a tornado warning or anything like that. Okay, but if you're at home, if you're in a mobile home, best advice I can tell you, if you're in a trailer or you're in a mobile home, you need to find a more substantial shelter. You need to find a buddy to stay with or something like that tomorrow, ride this thing out. You don't want to be in a mobile home, especially with this type of severe weather. It's not a best place for you, okay? If that is not possible, try to find a local gas station or a grocery store, somewhere you can get to pretty quick that has a substantial building, and use that tomorrow, okay? If a warning goes out for your area, use that tomorrow, okay? Elizabeth, that is a no right now. We're still working on the Roku, okay? So no major concerns, Western Arkansas, Eastern Texas. Jersey, that is going to go for tonight in the early part of your Wednesday morning. The one thing that is saving you guys over there is because of the timing. The timing is very late tonight, very early first thing Wednesday morning, which is the coolest part of the day. So the severe threat is not going to be high over there across Western Arkansas. We will have to watch it. Damaging wind threat is still there. The isolated tornado threat is still there. And the isolated hail threat is still there. But it's not as significant as the ones in central and eastern Arkansas for tomorrow here. But still, don't let your guard down just because it's a very low risk over there. So, Peggy, what is the red mean? Red means high risk for the damaging wind threat. Okay, basically the 30% for the damaging wind threat. And then you see the purple area to the east. That's the significant threat. And you can see out towards West Tennessee, Mississippi, or towards western Alabama. Also, by the way, folks, I know we're bound to Arkansas, but if y'all not have anybody in Mississippi or in Alabama or in western Tennessee at this point, or even Stacy, I was just getting to that, down there in Louisiana, Baton Rouge, give them a phone call. Say, hey, we got significant severe weather on the table as we get towards tomorrow here. And there's a lot of people kind of comparing this event to the last event. Honestly, I think this event may be a little bit more significant because of the timing versus the last event, where the last event came through first thing in the morning and it was gone here. Okay, so when will this system be completely out of Arkansas? It should be out of here by 4 to 5 p.m. tomorrow. There will be a second round that we're going to have to watch, but it should be primarily a hail and wind threat with that. And that second round should be for northern and northeastern Arkansas, so the low kind of pivots out of the way here. But it just depends on how much we can recover behind this massive line that comes through here. So I'm going to take it back. I'm going to talk about tornado risk while we're here. And I know a lot of people are kind of looking at the yellow area and they're saying, oh, it's a low threat for tornadoes. I'm not really worried about it. Folks, I call it the 5% magic for a reason. I've been out chasing. Me and Derek can both tell you we nailed the Yazoo City tornado, 5%, okay? All mainly tornadoes I've nailed has either been in the 5% or in a 10% area, okay? Keep that in mind for tomorrow, folks. I'm fully expecting warnings. I'm fully expecting watches. All right, we're going to have the ball rocking and rolling by the time we get towards tomorrow morning, okay? So, Stacy, thank you for that. Please, please, please give him a heads up, especially down there in southeast Louisiana, Baton Rouge, I believe. What does the purple mean? I can't keep up with the weather chart. So, Chris, okay, basically, this is broken up into different risks, okay? You have your tornado risk, your damaging wind risk, your hail, and your main overall risk, okay? There's a key at the top of this header for a reason, okay? So, basically, that means significant, okay? The risk is different for every single one, okay? We don't control these risks, by the way. These are strictly from the Storm Prediction Center. It's out for a reason, okay? So keep that in mind, all right? It's broken down as every single risk. It's the overall tornado, damaging wind, and then you have your hail threat. That's what it's broken down to, okay? So, Amy, great comment. That's the best way to explain it. Think of it like a stop line at this point, okay? You don't want to be in the purple. Let's put it that way. DeShay County, I would say both. to be honest with you. Damaging wind and that tornado threat for tomorrow here. In DeShay County, as you can see, as a matter of fact, I got a friend of mine that actually does live in DeShay County at this point. Gave her a heads up, but you can see that orange area, the medium risk for the tornado threat. But don't let your guard down, folks. Just because you're not in the orange or in the red area, do not let your guard down, folks. I tell you guys this all the time. Storms do not care about risk. They don't care about colors on the map. They don't care about anything, okay? You can get a tornado. I'm going to tell you something. You can get a tornado and a very low risk for severe weather. I've seen tornadoes happen in a marginal risk before, okay? The only thing this shows is just a confidence. Very low confidence in tornadoes across northwestern Arkansas. Low confidence across much of the area. Then you have your medium confidence across eastern, southeastern, and southern Arkansas. And then you have your high confidence in forest southeastern Arkansas. And as a matter of fact, based off the NAM that I'm looking at, that 15% is probably going to come northward or northwestward with time. We'll have to wait and see on that. But I'm really worried about both. I'm really worried about the damaging wind and the tornado threat here. And if y'all are confused, please give me some light on what you're confused about, folks. I'm trying to break this down as much as I physically can, guys. If y'all are confused by anything, please let me know, okay? So, my daughter has a school band trip tomorrow. Let me go back to it. It goes down tomorrow in Russellville coming from Camden. Ooh. Probably be a good idea to keep her at home tomorrow. Probably a really good idea, because even if you don't get the tornado threat, you will have the damaging wind threat with this as well here, okay? So, Dustin, great point. Where there's a risk, there's a chance. Crazier things have happened. That's a great point, okay? We've had severe weather happen in the margin. We've had severe weather happen in a slight risk or in a enhanced or a high risk or anything like that. It can happen anywhere, okay? So just kind of keep that in mind. As long as there's a threat, there's that potential. That's a great comment, Dustin. Let's see here. Let's go back over to NAM real quick. I know there's a lot of people kind of wondering about that, all right? And I'm going to have, by the way, don't be limited to just these live streams either, okay? We're going to have all this information on the page. If y'all are new here, okay? If y'all are new here, please check out the page, okay? All your information is going to be on the page at this point, all right? The live stream, you can also rerun a live stream if you miss anything, but the information is going to be on the page at this point too, okay? So there's the high-res NAM at this point, okay? So this is noon that you're looking at, noon, 1 o'clock-ish at this point. It's already past Little Rock. Okay, now it's making its way towards eastern Arkansas at this point. Now let's talk about this for just a second while I have you here. Let's show you guys this. Okay, so basically this is surface cape or surface instability. You're looking at this, you're like, man, that's not a lot of instability. There's a significant amount of shear that we're going to be dealing with tomorrow. Okay, there's a crazy ton of shear. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to show you that real quick. Okay, so my number one rule whenever you're dealing with this, it's called high shear, low instability setup, okay? Take a look at this. Right over eastern Arkansas tomorrow. Very, very strong winds, okay? As we get towards tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow evening, okay? So just kind of keep that in mind here. You're talking easily in this area. Let's go to the scale down here. You're looking at 50 to 55 knots, or basically upwards to 60 to 65 mile per hour winds aloft here. There's a lot of strong wind aloft with these thunderstorms, and all those thunderstorms are going to do, they're going to pull all that energy southward. Look at here. This is 850, by the way, okay? There's a lot of wind energy. You're talking almost 80 knots, which is pushing 90 miles per hour at this point aloft, okay? So there's a lot of wind shear tomorrow. I mean, a crazy ton of wind shear across the air, okay? And this is why I'm worried about not only the damaging wind threat, but the tornado threat. Southwest winds aloft, okay? This is going to show up here in just a bit. Southwest aloft, southeast at the surface. Whenever you see an X mark, that's bad. That means you deal with tornado threat, okay? Damaging wind, this is damaging wind threat because you're parallel. Tornado threat's this, okay? Tornado threat's X because it's southwest aloft, southeast surface. When they're perpendicular, it's tornado. When they're parallel, it's damaging wind. So, I know I kind of gave you a math lesson, but that's basically it. But as you can see, there's a lot of wind energy with this. And Nancy, I am definitely going to take a look at that. As a matter of fact, while I have y'all here, we can actually take a look at that for just a second. So, I'm going to pull up, I'm going to at least attempt to pull up the Easter 2020 event here. And I'm pulling it up right now. You're not going to be able to see this very clearly because it's not going to let me zoom down, I don't believe here, but there was a crazy ton of wind reports. So I'm going to slide this over here, okay? And there's a lot of comparisons about it here, okay? So this is the Easter 2020 event, basically, okay? A lot of wind events across Arkansas. It tore up Arkansas in terms of wind events. But look what all your tornado events were. In northern Louisiana, Mississippi, over towards Alabama. This is why I'm having a hard time comparing this event to the Easter event, because I think you will have a mix of both of the wind threat and the tornado threat for tomorrow, okay? So just kind of keep that in mind. As a matter of fact, I'm going to show you an event that I'm personally kind of looking at for tomorrow here. So let me go over here for 1 second. Okay, alright, so this one I believe was the, yes, yeah, it was. Okay, so this one was the January 10th, 2020. I know we're kind of looking back, but this one right in here was from 2020. Okay, so basically what this is, it's almost, you can almost compare it to this event. Very high-end wind threat, okay? Tornado threat was there as well, but you can see what happened with this event, okay? So that was the event for this one. There was a lot of wind, there was a lot of tornado. If you remember this one was the January 10th, 2020 event at this point, okay? So that one it's kind of a mix of both at this point. It kind of has the damaging wind and the tornado threat with it here. So that's why I'm telling you guys now, don't focus on either or, kind of focus on both at this point. I know everybody was kind of trying to zoom in on that. It's very, very hard. They don't make it just straight for Arkansas. It's like a region-wide view here at this point, okay? So let me see here. I'm going to go over here. Yeah, Cameron, one of our chasers on the team, yeah, don't forget as well, there's also going to be 55 to 65 mile per hour gusts, non-thunderstorm wind gusts for tomorrow, okay? So keep that in mind. As a matter of fact, let's talk about that. Thank you, Cam, for mentioning that in the comments here. You can see, look at there, okay? These are non-thunderstorm winds tomorrow, okay? 55 to 60 mile per hour non-thunderstorm winds. Basically, that means that is typical wind gusts across the board. There is going to be a significant amount of wind shear going in place for tomorrow, okay? Keep that in mind here. We may actually see wind damage just from non-thunderstorm development for tomorrow, okay? Keep that in mind, okay? 50 to 60 mile per hour wind gusts across the board as we get towards tomorrow here. And you can see the greater risk, the greater winds really take off across East Arkansas, Mississippi, and in Western Tennessee from tomorrow here, folks. But just kind of keep that in mind. Also, in these areas over here in Eastern Arkansas, the flat lands will easily accelerate the winds as well here, okay? So you can easily push 65, maybe upwards to 70 miles per hour in those areas, guys. This is non-thunderstorm winds for tomorrow, so a very, very crazy day heading our way as we get towards tomorrow here, guys. Have multiple ways to get warnings. Stay with us here, guys. And another thing, don't focus on just tornado threat either. Don't focus on tornado warnings. Keep an eye on those severe thunderstorm warnings as well here, because the damaging wind threat could be just as bad as dealing with a tornado threat across the board, okay? So there's a lot of storms from Missouri to Oklahoma, down into Louisiana, and then you can see, by the way, this will be a Futurecast, by the way, okay? So you don't have to worry about not seeing timing or anything like that on here. We will have a Futurecast for you guys just in case you missed timing or anything like that. April, for Warren, timing is going to be right around 1-ish 2 at this point, okay? And then you can see, and so forth, look, little areas you can see in the line. You will have to watch for that tornado potential as well. And in the supercell development, guys, I'm really, really worried about Eastern Arkansas tomorrow, okay? I really think somebody could see a significant, either a significant damaging wind threat and or a significant tornado threat as well here. And so forth, we're going to watch behind this line what happens with this one, because take a look at here, okay? We're going to go back to our instability for just a second, all right? Look what happens behind the line. You start getting your instability back, okay? Got to remember where we are in the time of the year now. We're late March, early April. The sun is not going down as fast as it was before, okay? So we get this line out of here 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. We still have 3, 4, 5 o'clock for some additional instability to come in, okay? This is behind the main line. Keep an eye on that second round. I'm just going to put it that way. Keep an eye on that second round, because if they can stay supercellular, then we will have to watch it as we get towards late tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow evening, okay? I don't think it's going to pose a significant risk behind this, because look at your helicity. Basically, your rotation in the atmosphere, okay? Not a lot of helicity tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening. Just kind of keep that in mind here. But let's back this up, okay? This is why I'm worried about Eastern Arkansas for tomorrow here. Look at here. 6 to 700 M2S2. That's a lot of helicity, folks, okay? That is more than enough to get significant tornadoes at this point across Eastern Arkansas. So please keep that in mind for tomorrow here, okay? Not only the damaging wind threat, but the tornado threat will be there as well, Cam. Great point. It's the most unlikely scenario, but something I'm worried about too. If that line does not happen, it's a broken line, you accelerate your tornado threat, okay? Your tornado threat goes through the roof if that happens, because you have all that rotation going on. Our best case scenario is you want this thing to come in as a significant damaging wind threat. Yes, it's still bad, but you see me cancel out the tornado threat, okay? This comes in as a broken line of storms coming into Eastern Arkansas, then you will have that tornado threat across the area for tomorrow, okay? So please keep that in mind for tomorrow, folks. Please, if y'all can, share this live stream. Do whatever you have to do to get this information out, folks. I'm really worried about Eastern Arkansas as you get towards tomorrow. Let's take a look at the significant tornado parameter while we're here. Let's back this up into Eastern Arkansas here. So it's not as high across Eastern Arkansas for tomorrow here in terms of the significant tornado parameters, but I would still watch it, okay? That means that this is going to be primarily a damaging wind threat if you were to go with the high-risk NAM, but like I said, folks, it's just one model. It's one model. You do not want to bet your horse on just one model here, okay? Should it be out of state before dark? Yes, it should be out of here by 4 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. If timing slows down, we could push that deadline a little bit later, okay? But it should be out of here by 4 p.m. at the latest. We'll have to wait and see at this point. Helena, West Helena, keep an eye over there at this point, okay? Should I keep my kids home from school tomorrow? We are in extreme southeastern Arkansas. You want my honest opinion, that's going to be a yes, just because that threat is there, okay? I think that will be a pretty good call if you were to do that. If you don't, then that, like I said before, that's your call. But if you're way down at extreme southeastern Arkansas, where that moderate risk is, the high risk for that 15% for tornadoes, then yeah, I would definitely do it, okay? Lisbon, of course, folks, we're going to have live streams tomorrow here, okay? We won't have a 7-day forecast tonight. We are in full severe weather mode, okay? So this will not be our last live stream. As a matter of fact, it's 2 o'clock now. I don't think we're going to get an update with this until midnight, 1 o'clock tonight here. So if anything changes, if anything occurs, I may do maybe a quick video blog tonight and then do a live stream first thing in the morning here, but we will be live tomorrow, folks. There's no doubt about it. We will be here tomorrow, okay? So those that are wanting timing information, folks, pay attention to the scrolling thing at the bottom of your screen here. That's going to have all your information you need to know in terms of timing here, okay? Also, you got to know your counties. You got to know your cities. Tomorrow is going to be one of those days, okay? We're going to be rocking and rolling. We're not going to waste time with specific city or county questions, okay? You got to know where you live, folks. You got to meet us halfway, because tomorrow we're going to be rocking and rolling with this severe weather threat here, okay? So thoughts, times for the Nashville area, southwestern Arkansas. You guys are going to see it first thing in the morning. It's going to be early to mid-morning over there in western and southwestern Arkansas. We're going to have to wait and see what happens with that. We'll have to wait and see if timing slows down here. Andrew, I am looking, this is what I'm looking at right now. It's the 18Z HR is coming out right now. Basically, your afternoon runs are starting to come out across the board here, okay? But just keep that in mind for tomorrow here. In Ashley County, yes. Honestly, I think I answered your question earlier. Yes, down there in far southeastern Arkansas, I probably would. It wouldn't be a bad idea down there in southeastern Arkansas for tomorrow here. But as said before, okay, so Polk County, western Arkansas, it's going to be first thing in the morning, okay? Doesn't mean you need to let your guard down. Doesn't mean it's a no risk or anything like that. There's a very low risk for severe weather across western Arkansas for tomorrow, okay? Keep that in mind. The isolated tornado threat is there as well. The damaging wind threat and the hail threat, okay? Keep that in mind here. It's a very low threat, but it's still there across western Arkansas, okay? So just kind of keep that in mind, all right? But as I said before, folks, tomorrow, you got to know your cities, you you gotta know your counties, okay? You gotta know where you live, okay? We're stressing that just because this is a very high-end severe weather risk, especially for our folks in eastern Arkansas, okay? Please keep that in mind for tomorrow, folks. We're literally begging y'all. You gotta know your cities, you gotta know your counties, you gotta know your surrounding counties. As a matter of fact, after this live stream, probably in a couple hours from now, we're gonna have a county map post on the page, okay? Please know where you are, folks, okay? Because when there's tornado warnings, anything that happens tomorrow, we're not going to waste time with city and county questions. It's just not going to happen. Our attention is going to go straight to those tornado warnings as it happens tomorrow. Dustin, as a matter of fact, great question. There will be a cap in place across eastern Arkansas for tomorrow morning. It will be very easy to break because you have a crazy ton of shear. That's my concern. I'm really worried. I'm really worried that guidance is not handling the instability well. I'm really worried about that. That's the number one thing that I always worry about whenever you deal with severe weather, is because guidance never is true with the instability. Okay, so please keep that in mind here. I've seen it time and time again, and then look at here. Okay, this is another thing I'm starting to worry about here. Okay, look at the HR now. That's concerning. Remember, this was supposed to be a squall line coming in western Arkansas first thing in the morning. Look how broken it is at this point. It's starting to separate itself. If that happens, okay, then you will increase your supercell threat across eastern Arkansas. Please keep that in mind for tomorrow. Jared, I've had a question about that for the last few hours. If you want my honest opinion, if there's ever going to be a high risk in Mississippi, it's going to be a wind-driven high risk. It's not going to be tornado-driven unless this thing breaks up into supercells, okay? The damaging wind threat will be there, okay? If it does go high risk out there in Mississippi, it's going to be for the damaging wind. It's not going to be tornado, okay? So, let me see here. Cam, I saw your comment. Let me go over and we'll take a look at it real quick. You said something about, yeah, I wouldn't be shocked about that either. That moderate risk kind of getting pushed further to the west here just to account for that. And that's another thing I'm worried about in eastern Arkansas is the storm mode. If this ends up being a supercell threat, then a moderate risk gets pushed westward and it's tornado driven, okay? So that's the one thing I'm worried about here. And you can see the HR is not coming in. It's not a solid line anymore. It's getting broken up into line segments. So we're going to take a look at something for just a bit, and it's called the helicity tracks, okay? And it should be loading up here shortly, okay? This is why I'm watching western Arkansas first thing in the morning, okay? That's up here in northwestern Arkansas. That's southwestern Arkansas at this point, okay? This is something that I'm going to keep a very close eye on as we get towards first thing tomorrow morning, okay? If we have to be live at 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, so be it, okay? Just keep that in mind across western Arkansas. I do foresee tornado watches. I do foresee it, okay? I really foresee tornado watches tomorrow. This will not be a severe thunderstorm watch. I foresee tornado watches tomorrow. We don't control the watches, but I do foresee tornado watches for tomorrow here, guys. And also, folks, please keep it professional, guys. We're not going to be dealing with the rude comments or anything like that. We have a moderator for a reason. Y'all please keep it professional, guys. It's a very serious situation across the board here, okay? So this is not going on now. This is for tomorrow, okay? All right. What's East Central and Central? That's okay. So Eastern and Central Arkansas is basically this. Eastern's over here. Central Arkansas is over here, okay? We're going to have a county map probably 2 hours from now, maybe. I may post it maybe straight after this, but basically, Central Arkansas, that's from the metro. That's the metro area, basically. And in your eastern Arkansas areas, that's Jonesboro, Memphis. That's Helena, West Helena. That's the Gillette, Stuttgart area. That's down towards Dumas. Also, Crosset. Even in some cases, you can also rival Lake Village at that point. Okay? That's basically what we mean, folks, guys. We're trying to break this up as easy as we can, guys. Okay? Like I said before, I don't know why everyone's getting confused by that, but we're trying to break it up as easily as we can, okay? If y'all have any questions, please reach out, okay? So just kind of keep that in mind here, okay? So let's see here. First thing in the morning, Mineral Springs, yeah, it's going to be first thing in the morning over there. And as I said before, in western Arkansas, you guys are we're going to have to watch you guys over in western Arkansas. Yeah, it's a low threat just because it's morning. That's the reason. That's the entire reason why you guys aren't seeing the major severe threat over there in western Arkansas in the morning. It's because it's first thing in the morning. Take a look at something real quick, okay? So here we are right around, this is 9 o'clock in the morning. We'll go over to this. By the way, I'm only staying on for the rest of the HR to come in, and then I'm going to hop off here, okay? So there's a line finally getting going, but, man, it is a mess out here in eastern Oklahoma, man. It's just a segment here, a line segment there, a line segment in northeastern Texas. It finally consolidates itself into a line of storms, but it's right around 9 p.m., so that's first thing in the morning over here in western Arkansas, okay? We will have to watch out for that isolated tornado potential along the line, okay? The damaging wind threat will be there as well here, but there's something that we're going to keep a very, very close eye on here across the board. Also, take a look at this. This is your dew points. Thank you for that, by the way. I saw that one comment about it being very windy and humid across the board, okay? Look at your dew points, okay? So you can see what goes on here, okay? So there's your second boundary back out here. The second boundary is going to cause a second round, by the way. But this boundary is quickly moving eastward, okay? So the earlier we get this out of here, the better it will be for us here in Arkansas. If this thing starts delaying even further, then we will have that potential as we get towards tomorrow here, okay? So there we are as we get towards 10 o'clock in the morning. It's bearing down central Arkansas at this point, okay? This is, I would say, somewhat of a best-case scenario because it's getting into central Arkansas right around 9, 10 o'clock in the morning. That's great. You want this first thing in the morning and out of here, okay? But in eastern Arkansas, we'll have to watch and see what happens here, okay? So you could say it's starting to speed up. It's kind of a battle with models right now here. High-risk dam, it's a little slower. HRR is a little faster, okay? So kind of a mix to both right now still fits with our time frame. We're talking right around lunch here, and then in eastern Arkansas as we get towards the afternoon hours here, okay? So let me see here, okay? Skinny QLCS, western and west central Arkansas, not near as aggressive. We'll definitely probably use 3 thunderstorm warnings. Probably, yeah, I do agree over there in western Arkansas based off of the amount of rotation we'll have in the atmosphere. Let's take a look at that real quick, as a matter of fact. There's your STP across the area here. By the way, I'm glad I still have over 200 people in this live stream. I really appreciate y'all. But you can see here, look at here. That's first thing in the morning. That's what I'm worried about over here in western Arkansas. So just kind of keep that in mind for tomorrow morning over here in western Arkansas. I wouldn't be shocked if I'm up 5, 6 o'clock in the morning covering tornado warnings across western Arkansas. That's just a given at this point, okay? So, Jennifer, it's going to be kind of a mix of both. It just depends on what happens if storms develop ahead of the line or along the line. That's going to be the question mark at this point. What is our storm mode for tomorrow? Is it a straight line, or is it supercells, or is it a mix of both? That's the biggest question mark at this point. Be prepared for any scenario at this time, okay? Wind gusts, definitely, okay? Wind gusts will definitely be on the table for tomorrow. Let's show you guys that real quick as we're getting new data. You're looking at new data, by the way, at this point. You can see, look what happens, okay? There's your line of storms. It's coming into the metro right around lunch, okay? So it's about an hour early at this point, but you can see right there where your line is. 40 to 50 mile per hour wind gusts, non-thunderstorm wind gusts across eastern Arkansas at this time here, okay? That's still the unit stability. Take a look at that, and I think, as I said before, I'm really worried that your instability is being underdone with DHR. Something that we're just going to have to keep a very close eye on here as we get towards tomorrow here. There's your line of storms. And notice something, okay? Notice it's starting to slow down. It was speeding or speed ahead. Starting to slow down now here in the metro, okay? Notice your thunderstorms are going to start getting going over here in eastern Arkansas as well here, okay? So not only will you be dealing with the damaging wind threat, but the tornado threat will be there as well here across eastern Arkansas for tomorrow. So if you're wondering why we're kind of going over new guidance at this point, this is right around 11 o'clock. So this is Mount Home to Little Rock to El Dorado. By 11 o'clock in the morning, western Arkansas is done, okay? You're in the clear over here in western Arkansas. This will start shifting from west to central to eastern Arkansas across the board, okay? So keep that in mind for tomorrow. I'm going to take a look at the helicity charts. I'm kind of scared to take a look at it, honestly. But look at that, okay? All these tracks that you're seeing, okay? And remember, and keep an eye on something, okay? And there's something that you have to remind yourself whenever you're looking at severe weather, especially with this particular event. Remember, your hail threat is very, very low tomorrow, okay? Your hail threat is very, very low for tomorrow. All of these tracks that you're seeing are rotation tracks, okay? That's not hail. That is not large hail that you're seeing. These are rotation tracks that you're seeing. So Basically, you will have to watch for the little rotation marks, okay, for tomorrow. This is why we're saying, keep an eye on for tomorrow. If any warnings get issued, we will be here, okay? Eden, you shared a graphic with me about a day or so ago. Had all the information in terms of the warnings or whatever. If you can get that posted for me, or at least send it in the chat, and we'll have that posted as soon as this live stream over. That way, people can have a better view of what we're looking at, okay? So, we're looking, there's for these what we call the helicity tracks that we're looking at, okay? So, this does not mean it's a guaranteed tornado, okay? It doesn't mean that these are guaranteed tracks. Something that I'm going to keep a very close eye on here for tomorrow, okay? Remember, your hail threat is very low for tomorrow, okay? Your hail threat is very low for tomorrow. It's low for a reason for tomorrow, okay? So there's new information coming in at this point. I'm going to wait and see on what happens with the newest run. I believe it's going to be a carbon copy of the 12Z, okay? Look at that. A massive line coming into eastern Arkansas by the time we get towards 2 o'clock here. So it got to the metro and it slowed down. That's what happened, okay? So now it's coming into eastern Arkansas by 2 o'clock here. That is a massive line of storms, folks, okay? That is a significant line, straight line wind damage written all over it, okay? If you go with the high-risk HR, by the way, and I was supposed to be asking about Lake Village, it's right around 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, okay? So, massive line of storms coming in to this point, okay? So, that's just something I'm going to keep an eye on for tomorrow. I'm going to take a look at the surface cape for a second here. I'm going to take this back, and that's what I'm worried about here. So, take a look at here, okay? Notice, when your line slowed down to Little Rock, your instability started coming in a lot quicker across eastern Arkansas, okay? So, there's a good amount of instability, and I said before, okay, with the amount of helicity that we will have in place, basically helicity is the amount of rotation in the atmosphere, okay, with all that energy for tomorrow, you won't need much instability, okay, you will not need a significant amount of instability for tomorrow here. That is a massive line of storms coming into eastern Arkansas for tomorrow. I am very, very worried about the potential of seeing straight line wind damage across eastern Arkansas for tomorrow. Okay, that's Jonesboro, that's Memphis, down towards Lake Village. As a matter of fact, the trends kind of continue on this route. Honestly, that moderates, Cam, you mentioned this earlier. Honestly, I wouldn't be shocked. I can draw this out, actually. Let's go back to our marker here. I honestly wouldn't be shocked if your moderate risk kind of ran kind of like this. Okay? I honestly would not be shocked if your moderate risk kind of ran in this area, and then you had probably even a high risk over here for the potential of seeing wind. Okay, so I really wouldn't be shocked. Your current moderate risk, I can draw this out. Okay, your current moderate kind of runs along the Arkansas, the Mississippi River side of Arkansas. Okay, so that's currently your moderate risk, and then your enhanced risk goes back out here. Okay, I would not be shocked if that got pushed basically just like this to kind of count for the damaging wind potential for tomorrow here. So keep that in mind for tomorrow here. So before, if something happens, we will be here, okay? But let's take a look at this. I'm going to go back over to it, and you can see a massive line of storms, folks, coming into eastern Arkansas, guns blazing across eastern Arkansas here. And you will have to watch for those little areas of rotation along the line itself. You can easily have severe thunderstorm warnings, tornado warnings across this area, folks. A lot of wind energy is going to be in place for tomorrow, okay? I'm going to take a look at this one last time, okay? Alright, and these are your helicity tracks. Look at that right there. Let's back this up. That's right around lunch tomorrow. That's from Camden up to just east of the metro at this point. Whenever you start seeing those greens and those yellows, that's where you have to watch for that tornado potential for tomorrow, folks. Keep that in mind. This isn't the enhanced risk over here, okay? So please, please, please urge those warnings. Do not ignore the severe thunderstorm warnings either, okay? Don't ignore those severe thunderstorm warnings for tomorrow, folks. They're going to be there for a reason. Also, storm motions. They're going to be moving very, very quickly across the area tomorrow, too. It's easily going to be about, I would say, 60 to 70 mile per hour moving storms tomorrow, okay? It's going to be in, quick, out. But the problem is getting to the out part is where it's going to be hurting us here in Arkansas. Let's go over to your supercell composite. Basically, it's just how your environment looks for the potential of seeing supercells. Low end up here in northeastern eastern Arkansas. Higher threat across southeastern Arkansas at this point. We will have to watch that line for tomorrow. I cannot stress that enough. we will have to watch that for tomorrow here. Guys, so before, I know a lot of people are asking about school. If I'm in eastern or southeastern Arkansas, I wouldn't do it, honestly. I'd keep them at home. One day's not going to hurt, because by by Thursday, you should be good to go, okay? There's a crazy ton. This is 0 to 6, Cam, I don't know if you're looking at this or not. This is 0 to 60 kilometers sheer tomorrow. There's a lot of wind energy with this, folks. And looking at this compared to the last event, where the last event was blasted through, we had a good amount of wind energy, but it didn't matter, okay? This event, it's slowing down, but it has a lot more energy to work with, guys, okay? So this is a very, very, very concerning thing that I'm looking at for tomorrow here, okay? Your significant tornado parameters, take a look at that, okay? Look at southeast Arkansas, alright? That's in far southeastern Arkansas for tomorrow. If any supercells get going, that's where you're going to have your significant tornado parameters for tomorrow here. Look at Mississippi, okay? This pushes eastward as we get towards Wednesday afternoon, and it should be out of the natural state by this point. Notice something here, okay, that I'm starting to get concerned about too. I don't think we're done with that main line, okay? There's going to be additional storms that are going to develop behind this line. One thing I'm going to keep an eye on here. Give me 1 second. I'm going to go over to the, let's see real quick, okay? 0 to 3 kilometer, not great. Not a lot of helicity with this tomorrow. So it's going to be primarily a hail threat behind the line of storms, which is a great point, okay? How do you get alerts when AWW's live? When you go up to the Facebook page, it's going to have, on YouTube, you have a bell, but when you go over to the Facebook page, let me see if I can have, wait 1 second, I can go over to it real quick, okay? So when you like the page, be sure to set it to, I may have to do a separate video for this. For some reason it's not loading up. I'll just do a separate video about it. But basically, you go to it when you like it, and it has an area that you can go through. There you go. And it has all live notifications. That way, when we live, you get the notification, okay? When you are on YouTube, if you have our YouTube page, it will give you the live notifications as well. So we're live on both Facebook and on YouTube, and I'm going to attempt tonight at some point to try to get the Roku page just briefly up, so we have for tomorrow here. This is going to be a very significant threat for our folks here in eastern Arkansas. So we're going to end this real quick. Let's go back to our guidance here. We're going to go back to our risk area, okay? Let's go over this one more time. Western, northwestern Arkansas, marginal risk. Rogers, Fayetteville, Fort Smith, west of Mena, okay? Salem, Clarksville, Russellville, let's use Danville because Conway's kind of on the borderline, okay? Piney, Arkadelphia, Nashville, Texarkana, Spring Hill. You're in the slight risk, okay? The enhanced risk. I'm going to put Conway in it. Conway's in the enhanced risk at this point in my mind, okay? Conway, Pocahontas, Piggott, Jonesboro, Batesville, Searcy, Little Rock, Camden, El Dorado, Pine Bluff, over towards Warren. That's the enhanced risk. And then your moderate risk from Osceola down towards West Helena, down towards DeWitt, Dumas, Crossett, Lake Village, Eudora, Greenville, over towards Clarksdale, okay? That's where your moderate risk is at this point. I will be watching that very closely. We will keep you guys updated. I cannot rule out that moderate risk being pushed a little bit further to the west. We'll have to wait and see what timing does for tomorrow here, guys. I appreciate y'all for being here. I've been online for about an hour, okay? If I can attempt to get that Roku up, I will. I will try to work on it tonight, okay? But please keep that in mind for tomorrow here, okay? Stuttgart, you are borderline. It's very, very, very borderline for you over there in Stuttgart. As a matter of fact, give me just a second. I can answer that question before I go off here. But I want to say you're kind of borderline with the slight risk. Not slight risk, the moderate risk. It's going to be pulling up very shortly. Give me 1 second. Okay, so we're going to go over to category risk. That's going to be pulling up here shortly. Okay, so you're right there. It's not far from you. It's just southeast of DeWitt. You're mainly in the enhanced risk, but it's kind of borderline at this point. Honestly, I wouldn't be shocked that moderate risk ending up getting pushed further to the west at this point here. Okay, so Jennifer, so before, I would think more tornado versus PDS, but it's still going to be a wait and see with that. Okay, so we'll continue to keep you guys updated right here, your source for all things Arkansas weather.